She had a husband, a house, a life that looked perfect from the outside, but inside, she was starving. Not for food, not for money, but for one thing she hadn't felt in years: connection. Then, one morning, while holding a cold cup of coffee and staring into silence, something unexpected happened. A dog walked in, not just into the room, into her soul. And from that moment on, nothing, not her marriage, not her routine, not even her own reflection, would ever feel the same again. This is not a love story. It's not even a story about a dog. It's a story about the exact moment a woman realized she was invisible. And one pair of eyes, not human, finally saw her. Stay. You need to hear this. Eric, my husband, hurries about, casting nervous glances at his phone, the burden of the day ahead urging him toward his job in downtown Santiago. As I stood there, the doorbell rang out, breaking the stillness, a ghostly reminder of his absence, leaving me enveloped in solitude. Eric is the embodiment of goodness, a steadfast presence in my life. I can always rely on him. He understands my intentions without a hint of misunderstanding. He puts in the effort and takes his responsibilities to heart. Yet, there exists a distance within him, an air of unapproachability that stirs a yearning in me for warmth and connection. His heart seems to be entirely consumed by his work, with scarcely any space left for anything beyond it. In those moments, our words dance in the shadows, constrained to the essentials, while a wealth of unspoken thoughts hangs delicately in the air between us. It seems as though we are just coexisting in the same space, rather than embracing the deep connection that comes with being true partners in this journey of marriage. For years, I wove a narrative in my mind, believing this was the very fabric of married life. Yet, deep down, a haunting feeling of invisibility quietly resided within me, waiting to be acknowledged. In the midst of all the chaos surrounding us, there stands Milo, our cherished boxer dog, though in reality, he is hers. When he first arrived in our lives, a tiny puppy full of promise, we made a choice that was meant to shield our home. But for me, Milo was more than just a guardian. He was a cherished companion, a creature to love and nurture. In truth, it dawns on me that I never really paused to grasp the essence of who he was. He was a gentle spirit, a soft presence that enveloped our home in a soothing embrace. On most days, he would seek refuge in the garden, soaking in the sun's gentle embrace, or nestled in his bed in the living room, drifting into a serene sleep. Milo and I barely shared a whisper. As Eric burst through the door, his heart raced with joy, eager to greet him. Yet, my experience painted a different picture altogether. It seemed he grasped that in my world, he was just a shadow, not fully engaging with the vibrancy of life, and so the days flowed by, one after the other. The house was a picture of perfection, dinner laid out with care, but deep inside me, a haunting silence resonated, filling my heart with an unshakable weight. It's truly remarkable to discover how something as seemingly mundane as a simple dog could transform all my beliefs. Who would have thought that a tiny being could bring about such a remarkable transformation? Yet I found myself on the edge of a revelation, that Milo was destined to be so much more than merely a pet. He emerged as the singular presence who genuinely grasped the depths of my being. On that morning, much like any other, a subtle beauty lingered in the air, woven into the fabric of its simplicity. As the morning light filtered through the window, Eric had already embarked on his daily journey to work, just like every other day. I stood in the kitchen, gazing at my cold coffee, my mind adrift in a sea of contemplation. The silence wrapped around me, a thick shroud that smothered any flicker of solace. The soft murmurs of the wind outside wrapped around me like a tender hug, a striking difference to the chill that lingered within my own walls. A deep feeling of being surrounded washed over me. Milo stood at the kitchen door, his gaze fixed on me, those eyes radiating a tranquility that seemed to have vanished from my life for far too long. A deep hush enveloped the surroundings. He stood frozen, wrapped in silence. He stood there, looking at me with a depth that hinted he understood emotions I found difficult to express. In a brief instant, I was tempted to look away from him, but the intensity of his gaze drew me in, urging me to linger just a moment longer. In the stillness, I stood, my heart burdened by the shadows of doubt, seeking to decipher the enigma of his choices. Could it be that he genuinely grasped the profound layers of my feelings? A hearty laugh bubbled up from within, and I shook my head in joyful disbelief, reveling in the sheer delight of the moment. He's merely a dog, Lena. Let us not indulge in the ridiculous, shall we? In a twist that surprised all, Milo veered off in an unforeseen direction. With a measured grace, he lifted himself, approaching me with gentle steps, and tenderly laid his head against my leg. There I stood, caught in a moment of stillness, as doubt enveloped me like a thick fog, rendering me unsure of my next step. In that moment, it dawned on me that I had never felt a connection quite like this with him before. As my hand softly glided over his head, an unforeseen feeling enveloped me, a tender murmur of comfort that resonated within my heart, assuring me that I was not solitary in this moment. That gesture, seemingly simple, carried a weighty significance in that brief moment, echoing profoundly within my soul. In the wake of that day, I became keenly attuned to the delicate nuances that had once eluded my grasp, like soft murmurs carried by the breeze. Every time I settled into the comforting embrace of the sofa, Milo would select a place just a few steps away, his presence a gentle reminder of the unspoken connection we nurtured in those tranquil moments. On those challenging days, when my tears surged like an endless sea I struggled to contain, I would discover him there, resting silently by the threshold of my room. His presence was a soft whisper, a reminder that he grasped the burdens of my heart and was ready to stand by, providing comfort in his quiet support. It was a moment that seemed woven from the fabric of dreams, as though the cosmos had orchestrated a delightful surprise just for me. With no expectations in mind, he opened his heart to me, a vivid contrast to my encounters with Eric, who always held back, never revealing such depth. With Milo, there was a steadfast presence that wrapped around me, untainted by conditions or expectations, a genuine bond that echoed profoundly within my spirit. It was as if he genuinely saw the core of who I am. In a world where shadows often cloaked my presence, he was the one who truly saw me. In the depths of my thoughts, a question emerged, one that had quietly haunted me for ages, waiting for the moment I would finally dare to face it. Is it possible that a dog could bring me something that has been missing from my life for quite some time now? And if that were the case, what tale would it weave for me? A heavy knot twisted in my chest, an inescapable burden of feeling that clung to me relentlessly. For an age, I turned a blind eye to the profound yearnings nestled within my soul, until Milo, with a tender touch, unveiled the truth I had long evaded. That morning with Milo danced in my thoughts, a vivid tapestry of emotions that refused to fade away. A gentle warmth wrapped around me, a feeling so authentic, yet beneath it lingered a whisper of fear that was difficult to shake off. It's just a dog, isn't it? I endeavored to persuade myself that my feelings were exaggerated, that it was illogical to feel such intense emotions. Every time Milo looked my way or approached with that calm presence, it was as if a piece of my soul broke apart and healed all at once. It engulfed me, and I found it hard to dispel the sense of absurdity for attributing such weight to his deeds. What tale was being woven within me? I endeavored to redirect my focus to different concerns, much like I had done countless times before. As I washed the dishes and organized the house, a deep silence wrapped around me, its heaviness nearly overwhelming. And the truth resided not merely in the quietude of the house, but in the deep silence that wrapped around my existence. In the tale of my relationship with Eric, a sense of emptiness lingered, as if we were caught in a perpetual cycle. I crafted the meal with care while he delved deep into his endeavors. When at last we convened at the same table, it was as if an ocean lay between us, vast and unbridgeable. A yearning stirred within me, compelling me to seek out the reason behind it all. He frequently shared with me that Eric is deeply engaged, weighed down by a multitude of obligations. Yet, what of my own emotions and desires? Did I not hold a place of importance in your realm? When did our paths begin to diverge in such a way? A surge of dread enveloped me at the realization of my own naivety, and then there was Milo, a guiding light amidst the shadows of doubt. In a fleeting moment, that dog gifted me a sense of fulfillment I had longed for over the years. Yet, beneath the surface, I wrestled with the challenge of accepting the truth of it all. In that moment, I realized I could not bring myself to confront the truth, for doing so would unveil the tumult that lay hidden beneath the surface of my life. A truth lingered in the depths of my heart, a burden too great to ignore any longer. In my quest for solace, I embarked on a journey of diversions, eager to fill the quiet void with a flurry of endeavors. I endeavored to cast those thoughts aside, yearning for a moment of tranquility within my soul. Yet the fear lingered, a persistent specter haunting the recesses of my thoughts. Imagine if that were indeed the reality. What if my joy was intricately linked to something that Eric simply couldn't offer? Yet Milo did indeed. It's just a dog. He repeated those words to me, but deep down, he grasped that the reality was much more intricate than it appeared. Milo was never the problem in this tale. He mirrored the uncharted spaces within me, the ones I had yet to confront in my journey of being. On a quiet afternoon, I settled onto the couch, my eyes drifting to the world outside the window. Yet my mind wandered far beyond the horizon, enveloped in a fog of thoughts and emotions that blurred the reality beyond my gaze. That day unfolded in a manner reminiscent of many that had come before it. With Eric gone, the house wrapped itself in an unsettling silence, and my mind danced with unvoiced thoughts that I dared not face. In that moment, a deep and stirring feeling washed over me. Milo found his way to the couch, where a moment of quiet comfort enveloped us, a soothing balm amidst the chaos of it all. In that fleeting instant, he found himself taken aback, a break from the ordinary that resonated with a lingering sense of doubt. He nestled beside me, his head gently resting on my leg, enveloping us in a moment of quiet comfort that felt both tender and profound. In that moment, I stood still, utterly astonished by the warmth that had come my way, catching me off guard. As I looked upon him, a deep understanding enveloped my thoughts. For the first time, he transformed from merely a dog into something far more significant in my eyes. I came across a presence that genuinely uplifted me. As I softly stroked his head, a tranquil bond formed between us, his calmness reflecting my own feelings, creating a moment that was both deep and soothing. It was as if a tender sigh escaped, a lightening of the weight that had taken residence in my heart, if only for a brief, shimmering instant. In that moment, a gentle warmth wrapped around me, and for the first time in what seemed like forever, I felt a bond that lightened the heavy burden of loneliness. Milo held his tongue, a quiet storm brewing within him, his thoughts and yearnings locked away, waiting for the right moment to emerge. He stood before me, a silent figure, offering a gift I had not known was absent from my existence. In the heart of our company, a deep sense of understanding weaves through every interaction. A gentle warmth wrapped around me, a feeling I had nearly lost to time, and in that instant, I drifted into deep reflection. What is it about a dog that awakens such deep feelings in my heart? What makes this piece with Eric so hard to grasp? That question danced in my thoughts, a flicker that slowly illuminated all the shadows of my past neglect. In that brief moment of solace that Milo provided, I found myself pondering whether he might not be the only one holding the keys to the mysteries I yearned to unravel. Perhaps the most significant question wasn't focused on Milo at all, but instead on my own journey and the depths of my understanding. That afternoon in the armchair was a moment of transformation. A transformation stirred deep within, etching a lasting impression upon my soul. After countless years, a deep yearning within me called for transformation, a desire to break free from the change of a monotonous routine that had captured my essence. In a serene moment of reflection, I decided to embark on this adventure alongside Milo. The next day, I softly took hold of his leash, a swirl of excitement and memories washing over me as we strolled together through the comforting surroundings of the nearby park. In that moment, it seemed almost trivial. He strolled alongside me, his inquisitive nose sniffing out every intriguing scent that wafted by as I moved forward, wrapped in a serene reverie. As the days unfolded, I began to sense a deeper truth emerging within me. Milo discovered delight not merely in the journey ahead, but in the comforting glow of companionship by his side. Whenever my eyes landed on him, he would look up, as if searching for a sign that all was well inside him. With each passing day, those walks blossomed into the most treasured moments of my daily journey. It was as if we had crafted our own realm, a haven designed just for the two of us. There was no necessity for me to express my feelings or justify my silence. Milo was there, a subtle essence that hung in the atmosphere, weaving through the silence. Once upon a time, I discovered myself engaging in conversation with him, feeling a peculiar blend of awkwardness and uncertainty, as though I were teetering on the edge of sanity for chatting with a dog. Yet, in reality, those conversations became a wellspring of healing for me. Today, Milo, I stumbled upon a spark of connection that eased my sense of solitude just a little. One afternoon, as we wandered under the gentle caress of the sun, I poured out my thoughts to him. In that moment, even without my words, his gaze told a profound tale, conveying a deep understanding that went beyond the limits of language itself. Slowly, these little instances stirred a sensation inside me that I had long left behind. A blissful, unfiltered delight. I began to notice the delicate nuances that had previously eluded my grasp, quietly residing in the corners of my consciousness. As I take a deep breath, the fresh air wraps around me, and the soft rustling of leaves shares nature's quiet tales. The sun wraps around me, its warmth a gentle whisper of the simple pleasures life has to offer. It was the most unassuming moments that rekindled the spark within my tired spirit. As I stepped through the door and caught sight of Eric, a profound feeling of change washed over me. In those precious moments when Milo wrapped me in his attention, companionship, and warmth, I couldn't help but observe that Eric remained unchanged, a steadfast figure in the backdrop of my life. He appeared distant, ensnared by the soft light of his phone or the dancing shadows on the TV, as though the reality surrounding him had dissolved into oblivion. The ache of acknowledging this disparity pressed down on my heart, yet I could no longer ignore it. Milo had evolved into a being of extraordinary significance, transcending the mere role of a pet. He occupied a cherished corner of my heart, a genuine confidant in whom I could place my unwavering trust, and in countless ways, it has transformed into my refuge. Though I couldn't fully understand it, I sensed that those walks carried a meaning that transcended mere necessity. They were destined to find their way to me. As the air thickened with unspoken words and uncharted emotions, Eric felt the delicate yet significant transformations taking place within the confines of his home. On a tranquil evening, as we lingered in our comfortable stillness, he placed his fork gently on the plate and directed his eyes toward me. "What is it that beckons you to share so many moments outdoors with your dog?" His voice carried a weight that made me feel uneasy, trapped in a dance between intrigue and irritation, grappling with the silent feelings that hung around us. As I raised my eyes, a wave of surprise washed over me at the unforeseen inquiry. His interest in my pursuits was a rare gem seldom revealed. As I strolled alongside him, a warm sense of comfort enveloped me, and I tried to keep my tone playful as I spoke. Yet, beneath the surface, I felt there was a profound significance hiding behind his inquiry. As the days unfolded, the burden of unexpressed emotions and lingering disputes grew heavier, casting a shadow over the heart. Eric began to express his thoughts with greater frequency, each comment resonating with a significance that hung in the atmosphere. It seems that your attention is drawn to Milo, which leaves me feeling somewhat sidelined. He's not merely a dog, Lena. He's a companion woven into the fabric of our lives. He is a cherished companion, a true friend, woven into the fabric of our lives, bringing warmth and joy to our days. It's difficult to envision him as anything but that. It genuinely puzzles me the extent of importance you attribute to him. His words cut through the air, leaving a sharp sting that echoed within me. In the midst of that pain, a clarity emerged, one I had long kept at bay. Eric and I sensed a vast divide between us, more profound than it had ever been, and it was evident that Milo was not the source of the separation. Amidst the lingering disagreements that danced in the air, I discovered a comforting refuge in my walks, savoring the serene moments shared with Milo. As the days unfolded, a subtle yet powerful force began to take root within me, deepening with every fleeting moment that slipped by. It wasn't just Milo who warmed my heart, it was the very spirit of those moments that resonated deeply within me. In this fleeting moment, I discover the space to breathe, to let go of the burdens that have kept me feeling trapped. Once upon an afternoon, a moment etched itself into my memory, thick with weight and trials. Before Eric set off for his day, we stumbled into a disagreement, a moment that hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words. A deep void enveloped me, as if his words had drained every bit of vitality from my being. Yet there was Milo, looking at me with a calm confidence that seemed to say, "Don't worry, I'm here for you." As I led him to the park, the familiar routine began to unfold, but in that moment, witnessing him race through the blanket of fallen leaves stirred a deep well of emotion within me, something I hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. A wave of relief sweeps through me, wrapping my spirit in a tender hug. A profound sense of relief washes over me, creating a serene calm that echoes through the very core of my being. In that moment of clarity, a tide of relief surged through me. I came to understand that I was not broken beyond mending. Rather, I found that even the smallest glimmers of happiness could light my way forward. Milo stood by me as my steadfast companion, a reliable presence in a world that frequently seemed unpredictable. Every delicate movement of his, from the soft arc of his tail to the reassuring way he nestled next to me, was a touching reminder that even in the hardest of times, there was a flicker of hope and value to be found. That night lingered in my heart like a shadow, as Eric and I shared hardly a word throughout the day. When I finally found the courage to reach out, his response was nothing more than a distant gesture as he retreated into the glow of his phone, leaving me feeling more isolated than ever. As I stepped into the room, a weight settled in my heart, twisting like an unsettling knot in my chest. The pang of solitude, a feeling that had settled in like an old friend, pressed down on my heart with a heavy hand. As I sat on the edge of the bed, a surge of emotion enveloped me, and I could feel the tears begin to flow down my cheeks. It was a profound sensation, a subtle pain that resided in the dim corners of my heart. It was a deep void that slowly wrapped around you, making you feel untethered and wandering, a ghostly echo of everything that is missing. At that very moment, the gentle sound of his footsteps danced through the air, awakening a profound feeling deep inside me. With a gentle push, Milo swung the door open, and in that instant, he moved ahead with steadfast faith, drawing closer to me. He nestled at my feet, looking up at me as he always did, his eyes brimming with a profound understanding that seemed to transcend the ordinary. Even in my silence, he appeared to understand the unvoiced thoughts that danced in the air around us. He stood up from his chair and wandered toward his bed, a movement so uncommon for him, one that typically needed a gentle push or a soft play. That small gesture awakened a profound emotion within my soul. I wrapped my arms around him tightly, letting the tears flow freely, unrestrained. As I softly touched him, a powerful surge of thankfulness enveloped me, mingling with a profound, aching sorrow that left me feeling adrift and uncertain about how to steer through my feelings. Milo stood enveloped in a silence that weighed upon him, his words imprisoned within, yearning for freedom yet unable to break free. Though he could not promise me that all would end well, the very core of his existence conveyed a profound message. In that brief instant, I grasped the profound essence of my yearning for this bond. It was remarkable how something as ordinary as his presence transformed into a lifeline for me, a wellspring of strength in my battle to persevere. I lingered there, cocooned in his embrace, as a thought danced persistently in my mind. What is it that makes my bond with him feel so distinct from the one I have with Eric? A question loomed before me, casting a shadow of fear in its wake. In that fleeting instant, a light flickered, illuminating the depths of my soul with a gentle murmur of insight. The truth lingered in the air, heavy with anticipation, as if it had been biding its time for me to finally recognize its presence. What Milo offered me was more than just simple gestures. It was a profound experience that lingered in the air, weaving a tapestry of meaning and connection. It was the very essence of my long-held desires, a treasure I had sought through the passage of time. A comforting embrace surrounds us, softly whispering of the care we seek and the boundless affection that nourishes our innermost beings. In that softly illuminated space, a deep understanding enveloped me, as though a long-hidden fragment of my spirit was at last breaking apart. The whispers of my heart grew too loud to ignore, beckoning me to pause and ponder their truth. In the unfolding tale, it became clear that Eric was not the one to blame, and Milo, too, found himself without the key to the mystery. The absence hung like a thick fog over my heart, a void that stretched endlessly, urging me to reflect on its deeper meaning. The days that followed, along with that night, carried an unmistakable weight of change. A flicker of light kindled inside me, casting brilliance into the shadows of my soul. In that moment, I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, a blend of bravery and acceptance swirling within me. A powerful force stirred within me, unmistakable and fervent. One afternoon, as I stirred a pot of dinner, my hands danced almost independently while my thoughts wandered off, adrift in a sea of reflection. In pondering the past few months, I am profoundly touched by how Milo has brought to light a fragment of my life that I thought was gone forever. To embark on a journey where one feels the warmth of being truly seen, the comfort of being genuinely heard, and the embrace of being deeply loved. It's not found in the eloquence of our speech or the sweeping acts we perform, but in the genuine, heartfelt presence we share with each other. In the quiet of that kitchen, I came face to face with the truth I had long avoided, a realization that had quietly dwelled in the corners of my heart for years. My marriage has shattered into fragments. Eric possessed his own admirable qualities, yet he ultimately did not fulfill the role I deeply sought in my life. His emotional absence cast a deep shadow within me, a void I struggled to understand for quite a while. It felt like a fragment of my very essence had vanished, subtly shaping my emotions and thoughts without my conscious realization. In that illuminating moment inspired by Milo, I realized I could no longer look away. Milo revealed to me the profound nature of love without conditions. In his presence, I discover a unique peace, a lack of expectations, a soft letting go of criticisms, and a liberation from obligations. He stands beside me, presenting a treasure I never thought I deserved to hold. His moments, his presence, his compassion, all woven together like threads in a rich tapestry of life. As I embraced this reality, a profound sorrow took root within me, a heart-wrenching realization of just how far Eric was from reciprocating my feelings. I could no longer ignore his presence, as it demanded my attention. This void was not of Milo's creation, nor could it be remedied by leisurely walks or peaceful interludes. It was a matter of great depth, one that awakened something deep inside me, a crack that had quietly widened over the years, now exposed for all to see, impossible to cover up with simple excuses. As I leaned against the doorframe, my eyes wandered over to Eric in the kitchen, capturing a moment that felt like it was frozen in time. A tide of melancholy enveloped me as I beheld his deep estrangement, a vivid echo of all that we had once cherished together. Facing this truth ignited a deep urgency within me, as I understood that it would demand a complete overhaul of my life. Yet, beneath the surface, I sensed the gravity of the moment bearing down on me and awakening to the fact that this was indeed a pivotal juncture. It was a moment of choice, to seize it now or watch it fade into the shadows of time, never to return. It became increasingly difficult to ignore the profound longing within me for love, for connection, for that exhilarating sensation of truly experiencing life again. After what seemed like a never-ending journey, I finally summoned the bravery to face the reality of my being. In the stillness of contemplation, I came to understand a deep lesson that Milo had imparted to me. True love flows with ease, never grasping or frantic. It moves forward with clarity, avoiding the traps of doubt and the allure of misplaced desires. True love exists in its most authentic essence, unembellished and heartfelt. That was the very heart of my dreams, the vision I cherished deeply for my life. In the days that followed, a remarkable change began to take shape within me. As I finally accepted the truth of my marriage and faced my genuine longings, a deep sense of clarity enveloped me, a clarity that had been just out of reach for far too long. In that moment, an epiphany enveloped me like a gentle tide. The tale unfolded, revealing that the matter reached far beyond merely Eric. It dawned on me that the challenge resided within, in that piece of myself I had misplaced along this winding path, a version I once held dear but had set aside. In my journey towards harmony, I dedicated endless hours to crafting a sense of balance in my surroundings, striving to create a home that resonated perfectly, fulfilling all the expectations that weighed upon me. There's a lingering sensation, a whisper in the back of my mind, that something truly important has slipped away from me, like grains of sand through an open hand. The heart of my happiness, my emotions flow profoundly, my wishes and yearnings. Milo shared a secret with me in a way that was uniquely his own, unlike anything I had ever experienced before. One morning, as we wandered under the expansive blue sky, I stopped to look at him. He turned his head towards me, his ears attuned to the moment, and his eyes glowed with a deep, serene calmness. There I was, on my knees. Gratitude flows from my heart, Milo. Your support holds immense significance for me. Your steadfast support holds immense significance for me, and I am profoundly thankful for your faith in me during my darkest hours, for illuminating the truth that the ability to feel still dwells within my heart. It dawns on me that there remains a vast expanse for change within my being. In that brief instant, a deep understanding enveloped me, urging me to welcome transformation and pursue a new journey. It had moved beyond the simple inquiry of whether Eric and I could mend our union. As I wandered through the corridors of my mind, a deep question began to take shape, demanding my attention. Is it possible for me to find my own salvation? Deep within my soul, I sensed a calling for something greater, something true, and I understood that I could no longer ignore the whispers of my heart. He emerged as a constant beacon in my emotional haze, shedding light on the way forward, the connection that brought me back to my authentic self. As I watched him dance playfully through the rustling leaves, a deep understanding enveloped me. It became clear to me that this was the journey I was destined to embark on next. In my journey towards wholeness, I contemplated whether it would be in the company of Eric or in the embrace of solitude. Have you ever journeyed through the profound emotions that I have encountered? Have you found comfort in an unexpected person or thing, just as Milo did? I would be genuinely eager to listen to your tale in the comments. If this video struck a chord with you, I warmly encourage you to express your gratitude by giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that little bell for updates. In this manner, you'll ensure that you don't overlook more touching tales like this one. Your encouragement deeply moves me and fuels my passion to continue sharing stories that connect with you. Engaging in a conversation with Eric was akin to sailing through a tempest, where every word carried the burden of my feelings. One evening, after we had enjoyed a meal together, I stood up from my chair and warmly beckoned him to join me for a chat. At the outset, it seemed he brushed aside my existence, as though my words were mere whispers lost in the wind, lacking significance in his gaze. He appeared adrift in his musings, a state he frequently found himself in. Yet this time, he was resolute in his intent to engage in the conversation directly, ensuring there was no escape for me to retreat into silence. Eric. I engaged him in conversation, my voice trembling with deep feeling. Gather round, for the moment has come for us to share words and weave our thoughts together. The burden of my circumstances feels like a heavy cloak draped over my shoulders. The weight of the situation is growing heavier, making it increasingly difficult to carry on as things are. In this moment, I am wrapped in a deep solitude, a feeling that presses down on my heart like a heavy cloak. It seems that the dreams I once held dear are fading into the distance, casting shadows of doubt upon my every thought. He looked up, a shadow of discomfort passing over his face. Would you be so kind as to clarify your thoughts for me? Where did it all begin? His voice trembled, caught in a fragile interplay of disbelief and irritation, casting a heavy shadow in the atmosphere. I bared my soul to him, pouring out my thoughts with genuine honesty, welcoming the truth and opting to forego any blame. In that fleeting instant, raw honesty intertwined with deep compassion, revealing the heart's true essence. I opened my soul, revealing the profound void that our separation had carved into my existence. It was through Milo that I began to grasp the profound significance of this realization. His reaction took me by surprise, prompting me to reflect on the true nature of my own expectations. Might this be a consequence of the dog's presence? With a flourish of frustration, he conveyed his feelings. Are you really implying that a creature brings you more happiness than I do? In that ephemeral instant, a fragment of my soul longed to withdraw, to allow the dialogue to hover in the atmosphere, unblemished and unanswered. Yet I discovered the courage to remain, to forge ahead even in the face of doubt's heavy burden. In that moment, a profound weight hung in the air between us, a connection that transcended the barriers of understanding, even if he couldn't fully grasp my words. It was a moment of great significance, echoing not only between us, but deeply within my soul. It's not about Milo, dear Eric. This time, I replied with a deeper sense of certainty, inspired by the profound insights he illuminated for me. We must embark on a journey to rediscover what has eluded us, if it still lingers in some shape or essence. However, if we choose to stand idle, change will forever elude us. Eric lingered in quiet contemplation, the air thick with the burden of unvoiced thoughts, pondering how to shatter the serene stillness that surrounded him. The reply was not particularly encouraging, but it also didn't offer a definitive dismissal. In that moment, his silence resonated, unfolding layers of thought and emotion that I could feel in the air. It was sufficient for me, a silent bond between us, a realm where words held no importance. In that fleeting moment, Milo stood as my unwavering anchor, keeping me steady in the midst of the swirling chaos. That night, following our deep and meaningful exchange, I found him, as was his custom, quietly waiting for me by the bedside. As he tenderly caressed his head, a profound realization enveloped me. As he stood on the brink of his journey, a path filled with trials and tribulations, I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. In that instant, I grasped a deep truth. I had the strength to confront whatever awaited me on this adventure. With every step, the path reveals itself, inviting you to savor the adventure that lies before you. The days that followed our conversation didn't morph into anything remarkable, but there was a palpable change within me that I couldn't ignore. Eric and I started to delve into more profound discussions, carefully navigating them as if we were softly stepping into the uncharted waters of a bond we had once cherished, but had since drifted away from. In the midst of those lingering, uncomfortable silences and the palpable moments of distance, there were also tender, albeit small, advances that whispered of hope, yet an undeniable shift stirred within me. After what seemed like an endless stretch of time, Eric felt a stirring deep within his soul. He came to understand that my joy was no longer bound exclusively to what he did or didn't do. It was through Milo that I stumbled upon something profoundly important. My well-being is a tale woven by my own actions. Milo stood by my side, a constant presence, my anchor in those times when doubt sought to invade my thoughts. His ever-watchful gaze and unwavering tranquility were a gentle nudge, a reminder that I had stumbled upon something truly precious. The courage required to delve deep and wholeheartedly accept my true self. I started to welcome adventures that had previously seemed unattainable. With every ounce of my being, I dedicated myself to self-care, discovering comfort within the stories woven in books and the soothing cadence of my own steps. Life unfolds in countless ways, far beyond the simple strolls with Milo.